I'm going to hand it over to Steve, and I just want to thank you again, my friend, for being here. And
Thank you.
you're all in great hands with Steve. I want to join the crowd, and then again, not being rude, but I do have to leave about 3:40, and Steve knows that. So thanks, everyone.
I'll be so hurt when I see you leaving.
Thank you, thank you.
You're going to steal the microphone too?
I'm not. I'm going to leave it here.
Thunder. Thunder comes from lightning. Lightning is sparked by ideas. Part of what we have to do is keep coming up with new ideas so that this college not only can continue, but can grow and succeed. So what we've got to do is we've got to learn to make thunder. Now, this is an interesting toy. It came from a musical instrument. A friend of mine who's a percussionist was at a percussionist convention. Now, think about being in a room with 300 people trying to make noises out of everything they can find. That didn't come up very loud. But it could be deafening. And one of the guys had come up with an instrument called a spring drum. The one he had was about 18 inches in diameter, took 2 hands to hold. It had a drum head at the bottom and like a snare spring hanging from it. And you held it and you swung it, and you get this wonderful thunder sound. Well, Robert, who lives here in St. Louis, went over to the guy and said, "I'd like to sell those." And he said, "I'm sorry. I'm already selling 50 or 60 every year to symphonies and orchestras." And Robert said, "How about if I only sell to non-professional musicians?" I said, "I don't care. Give me a small royalty for every one you sell." So Robert went home, shrunk the size down so it could be held in one hand, put an artificial drum head at the bottom, an inexpensive spring that's just made out of cardboard, and renamed this the Thunder Tube. In the next 12 months, he proceeded to sell over 100,000 of these. The other guy was happy with 50 or 60. 100,000. He doesn't have any electronics in here. It's easy to make. Kids love it. Matter of fact, if you have friends you don't like that have little kids, give them a couple of these. I'll drive the parents nuts. But there is opportunity all around us, in the ordinary, in things we see every day. And one of the things that I have challenged Dr. Ken and all the rest of the group is to think about what's already out there. What can we take that's already in place that we can use to let the college continue to take leap after leap after leap and be totally sustainable long into the future? So one of the questions I asked, which I'd like to start out with today, is what business are you in? And now that people say, that's easy. We're in the college business. Well, not really. There was a great article written back in the 60s called Marketing Myopia. And the reason behind, or the central idea behind that article, was if the railroads had been in the transportation business instead of the railroad business, they would own the airlines. But they were in the railroad business. All they wanted to do was do good railroads. But think about what could have happened if we had had high-speed rail between close-in cities like St. Louis and Chicago and just use airplanes to go coast to coast and long distances. Our transportation system would be totally different. So my question to you is, what business are we in? Now, I was so happy that people came and moved up to the front. I will not pick on you, okay? But I'm going to pick on sort of the halfway back, okay? No, you can't hide. I'd pick all the way back, but I can't hear them. So what are you? What business do you think Lewis and Clark College is in? Oh, come on.
Part of it would be customer service, student services.
Student services. What kind of services?
Educational.
Educational services. But, you know, everybody that's in the college is doing the same thing. How can we be better and different? What can we do? What would be different about this college if we could do it? Come up with anything. Crazy ideas work.
It'd be free.
It could be free. Okay. Now, you may say, that's crazy. No, it's not. Harvard is doing that now. Now, they've got a big endowment, but what they're doing is they are making the education free by using the endowment to bring more and varied students in. What else could we do?
I'd say touch more of our community.
Touch more of our community. Okay, so maybe Lewis and Clark, instead of being a college, becomes a community service or a community growth organization. Maybe it's up to us to help provide more people who can work in various industries so we can attract more industries to Alton. Could we do that? Boy, this whole place is almost asleep. Okay, I'm a professor at St. Louis University. I get to do pop quizzes, okay? So I'm going to try a pop quiz. For those of you at home, if we can unmute everybody, I'm going to ask some simple questions. I want everybody to shout out the answer, okay? These are simple. Let me start out. What shape is a stop sign? Oh my gosh, come on. This is like when you were 15 years old and you got to learn to drive. The answer's right. It's an octagon. But let's hear it. What shape is a stop sign?
Octagon.
Okay, what color is a stop sign?
Red.
Red.
What shape is a yield sign? What color is a yield sign? Whoa,
Yellow.
Yellow?
Oh, wait a minute.
Yellow? Do you
Red and
realize
White?
there has not been a yellow yield sign in the United States of America since
I said yellow.
1974?
Somebody else said it real loud.
1974, the yield signs were changed. Yeah, go check it out on your phone. The yield signs were changed from yellow to red and white. And yet you all think they're still yellow. Now, I cannot do that in a crowd of 20-year-olds because they know the answer. But everybody else, some of you are so young, you have never seen a yellow yield sign on the street in your life. But your parents told you they were yellow, and you believe it. Mark Twain said it best. It's not what we don't know that gets us in trouble. It's what we know for sure that just ain't so. So think about it. What do we know for sure about colleges that just ain't so? One of them is, like you said, we charge for tuition. Maybe that just ain't so. Maybe one of the things we do differently is we don't charge for admission. Okay? What are other things that we know for sure? We know for sure that if you're going to get a bachelor's degree, it takes 4 or 5 years, right? Maybe that's wrong. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it only takes 2 years. Maybe it takes 6 years. But we don't have to follow the rules. Nobody said that colleges have to work in 2 semesters in a summer session. Maybe we can do different kinds of timing that make it easier for more students to participate. Maybe we don't have students just studying out of the books, but we get more hands-on capabilities. So my question to you is not what do you know about colleges today, but what don't we know? What can we do that is so different and so opportunistic that it allows Lewis and Clark to become the greatest community college in the country and a thought leader for everybody else? If you wanted to dream, what could you do here? Think outside I don't even know there's a box. So what might you say we could do? Anything.
I'd like to see more trades
More trades? Okay.
without all the support courses.
Without all the support. Get people in and out.
Right.
Absolutely. Think about that. I like that. You know what? Because that will help students feel like, gosh, I don't want to commit 4 years of my life to going to school. If I can get in and out in a year or 2 years and I can get a good job, why not? One of my volunteer activities is the Donald Danforth Plant Science Center in St. Louis. May or may not have heard of it. It is the world's largest plant science center. We have over 350 plant PhDs working on research there every day. One of the things we've done is we've signed up with St. Louis Community College, thank you, Ken. We have a program to teach plant technicians, kids who are interested in science, but aren't ready for or can't afford a 4-year degree. Tuition is as little as free. In 2 years, the students get a certificate to become a plant technician. For the last 8 years, 100% of all the students in that program have had jobs when they graduated. 100%. You know what? People want to be in that program. And most of the people who hire them will then pay for them to complete a bachelor degree. So now you take kids who had no hope of going to college, you get them through a first degree, they become somebody special, they make more money than their parents ever saw, they're in science, STEM-type areas, and now they're ready to lead their communities. It's only because we decided we could do something different. We didn't have to follow the crowd. So again, my question to you, and you're not going to answer it all today, but I want you to think about it. What can you do that is better and different from what everybody else is doing out there? And think about it for yourself, for your families. One of the things that I had to do, Ken mentioned, I started my own business. 1976, I was scared out of my wits, had 2 little kids, house, car, owed money on everything. And I told my wife, I'm starting a business. And this was April 1st of 1976. And I thought she'd say, April Fool's joke, right? And she didn't. And I was upset. I was trying to surprise her. I said, how come you didn't challenge me? She said, I knew you were going to do this. It was just a matter of when. And I decided at that point the worst thing that would happen is I would have to get a real job again. And I haven't worked since. And I love to still do this. I just like getting out and being engaged. Okay? I changed everything. But one of the things I did at the very beginning, and this is what I teach my students at SLU, don't let anybody else tell you what is success. So many people wanted to tell me, Steve, if you leave, and at the time I was working for Citicorp, if you leave Citicorp, you're never going to make that much money again. Well, I decided making that much money wasn't the answer. I wanted to never miss a parent-teacher conference. I never wanted to miss a weekend with the Boy Scouts. I had different things that were important to me. But you know what? Because I loved what I did, and I did it well, I never missed parent-teacher meetings. I never missed Boy Scout meetings. And yet I made more money than most of the people that were stuck back at Citicorp. And I'll tell you something else. I had a lot more fun than they did. Okay? So don't let anybody else tell you, what is the purpose of a college? What is the purpose of a community college? You can do anything you want. You can make up your own definition of success, and you can change the definition of success for all of your students, for all of your community, and everybody that participates with you. So my challenge to you is not decide how you can make little incremental changes, but how can you make big ones? How can you take off the blinders and do things that are different? When I tried to retire, I sold the company, and Boeing came after me, and I became the entrepreneur in residence for Boeing. My job was to come up with 100 new business ideas every 30 days. And people think that was difficult. That was the easy part. The hard part was deciding, of all those ideas, which one should we do? We could do lots of them, but we shouldn't do some of them. For example, one of the ideas we came up with, is anybody old enough to remember the Hindenburg? Remember that big airship that caught fire in New Jersey and killed a bunch of people and destroyed the airship industry? Well, we had an idea. What if we had a smaller airship in the shape of a wing, put forward thrust on it, and only had a wing that was zero buoyancy? So it just floated. It didn't lift, it didn't fall, but it just floated. We put forward thrust on it. We figured on paper we could lift 50 tons on a 200-foot runway. That's pretty impressive. And it allowed us to take an idea and say, what if we tethered one of these to ships going up and down the coast of Africa and South America? And everywhere a country that didn't have a port needed something, we could pick up a container from the back of the ship, fly it in, land on a very small field, drop it off, pick up the empties, go back, and then tether it on the back of the ship and go to the next area. Now, Boeing liked the idea. It was technically doable, but when we looked at how many billions it was going to cost to get it approved for air flight, when we examined what happens if there's an accident and all of a sudden you see pictures of the Hindenburg blowing up and it says by Boeing, nope, that was something we shouldn't touch. And it's okay to say no to an idea as long as you're coming up with the idea. I went to one of the research institutes, and this is what made it easy to come up with the ideas. All I had to do was talk to other scientists, engineers. If you know much about airplanes, they don't fly real well with ice on the wings. So they were trying to develop a paint they called isomorphic. You no longer have to spray anything on the wings in the winter because this paint would not allow ice to form. And I said, can you give that to me in clear? And they said, why? We're painting airplane wings. I said, no, I want to put it on every windshield in North America. And they went, we never thought of that, because they had blinders on. So think about, where are all of the blinders that keep you from seeing all the possibilities out there for Lewis and Clark? What blinders can you take off that can help you make leaps and bounds and really become the thought leaders in the whole community college industry? Now, like I said, you're not going to come up with all the answers today. I had lots of time to work on ideas at Boeing. You have lots of time to work on ideas here. But you have to start. You have to start thinking. And so my challenge to you, and since I saw Dr. Ken had to leave already, is what can you do to make thunder? What is a spring drum out there waiting for you to understand that there was a thunder tube in there? What can you do instead of bringing in a half dozen students, bring in 50 or 100 students to a new program? What can you do to get more people in the community invested and involved here? Take off the blinders. Let your mind wander. Come up with the ideas. Everyone in this room, everybody on the communication should be coming up with at least one idea between now and the end of the year, and give it to Dr. T. Get it to the example. Say, here's some ideas. Not everyone's going to work. When I was at Boeing, their expectation was 2 out of 1,000 ideas would become a business. That's all. It's a numbers game. But if we don't come up with the ideas, we'll never find the 2 that become a business. So I've got a few more minutes. I know that everybody wants to go home. I'm holding you up. Any quick questions that I might answer? Anybody got any thoughts you'd like to share with the crowd? Is anybody still awake? Did anybody know that yield signs weren't yellow? A few of the younger people. Okay, that's cool. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave you with this thought. Think of something. Everybody in this program should be sending at least one idea to Ken's office and say, here's an idea by the end of the year. And my advice to you is don't let a yellow yield sign keep you from seeing the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
That's it. Anybody want to come up and play with the Thunder Tube, you're welcome to it. But have a good evening, a good weekend, a good year. Have fun.
Thank you, Steve. Much appreciated. I changed modalities. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, that sounds like Ken. He's still talking to the group. He's on the telephone.
I just wanted to say thank you. I left, but appreciate everyone showing up today, and thank you, Steve, always for your time and wisdom. Have a great rest of the day, everyone.
Bye, Ken.
Bye.
That means you're excused.